The views and opinions expressed today on Black Focus Radio are not the views and opinions of the station, its management, or its advertisers. Now, let's get ready to focus on our issues, our solutions, using our voices on Black Focus Radio.
Welcome to Black Focus, the show designed with our community in mind, where we focus on our issues, developing our solutions, using our voices. Central Arkansas, surrounding areas, and the nation. Get ready. Black Focus starts right now. Phone lines open at 855-525-5683. So here's your host, David W. Coleman.
Well, good afternoon and welcome to Black Focus Radio. Our issues, our solutions, our voices. 855-525-5683 is the number. That's how you get in touch with us if you'd like to join the show. It's the Tuesday edition, and we've got a lot of stuff to talk about today. Of course, we've got Black Facts coming up here in just a moment, so y'all stick and stay for that. I want to remind you to make sure you support our sponsors, ribrub.com and skintentional.com. They do a great job, and certainly you'll be satisfied. And the fact that they're sponsoring the show tells you how much I appreciate them. If you would like to become a sponsor of the show, give me a call at 615-554-0568 or send me an email at blackfocusradio@gmail.com. We'll put together a very nice advertising package for you. We'll write your spots. We'll feature you in a segment to talk a little bit about your business. All of that is available just for you, your business, as you begin to broaden your horizons and bring more customers to your front door. Okay? So, a lot of stuff to talk about today. Let me just tell you what's on the agenda. We're at the anniversary of Roe versus Wade, of course, I'm going to ask the question about reproductive rights. We've been talking about it a lot over the last 2 years. Actually, I've been talking about it for the last, 20 years? But I don't talk about it the way you all think I talk about it. So we're going to get into that today. Also, I want to examine how the argument against Roe used by the states is nothing more than a tactic that they attempted to use during Jim Crow and segregation. Check that out. All right. So that's coming up here in just a moment. Of course, we got to talk about the 10 Commandments, separation of church and state. I'm so tired of this. At what point and what's going on? Look, here's the thing. You can't have everybody to pray with you or pray for you. Hello? We're going to talk about that here coming up here in just a moment. Of course, the debate is Thursday. As people are getting ready, this is going to be, it's going to be fun. I don't really watch a lot of debates because a lot of it is nothing but fluff, but we're going to talk a little bit about that. And I'm going to ask you the question: Biden, democracy, or Trump? That's your three choices. That's what I think should be on the ballot. Biden, democracy, or Trump? Huh? We'll get into that here as well. Let's see what else. Oh, by the way, we do a segment of what we must do, and we're looking for a sponsor for that and what we must do. And we're going to put together the same advertising package I talked about a few minutes ago. But here's the thing. Tonight in What We Must Do is going to have a sports slant. And it's going to be about LeBron James and his son and about what we must do. Okay? So that's what's coming up on the show. I'll tell you when we come back after Black Facts, I'll tell you about my new another Father's Day gift that I got that I'm very proud of. So if you notice, I'm sitting in, well, I'll tell you about that later on. So we'll get into all that in a moment. Oh, I want you to check out this Black Fact. I've been on this, I don't know, I've been looking at a lot of video as it relates to the African diaspora and where we are as far as physically in the world when it comes to black people. And when I mean the diaspora, that is the people that were spread across the globe as it relates to slavery and migration and things of that nature. And what we're finding is there are a lot of us right here in Central North America, Central and South America that you didn't know about. So check this out. This deals with the blacks who helped founded California in Black Facts. Okay, so check it out. Here's Black Facts. We'll be back in a moment. You're listening to Black Focus Radio on joynetradio.com.
Dynamic Black Facts. Our culture, our history, our people.
The year was 1781. The California sun beat down mercilessly on a dusty trail, where a band of 44 souls, 11 families, walked towards destiny. These brave individuals were the pobladores, a name that whispered townspeople in the Spanish tongue. But their story was anything but ordinary. Traversing more than 1,000 miles across the desert from present-day northern Mexico, they reached a location blessed with a Mediterranean climate, fertile soil, and a river, making it highly suitable for agriculture. Here they founded a farming community, naming it El Pueblo de Nuestra Señora, La Reina de los Ángeles de Porciúncula, which translates to the Town of Our Lady, the Queen of the Angels of Porciúncula in English. Yes, these individuals were the first settlers of Los Angeles. But remarkably, they weren't your typical Spanish settlers. While these pobladores were from the distant provinces of Mexico, historian William M. Mason would later reveal the true racial makeup. Within this group, only 2 were actually classified as white, 16 were mestizos, and a staggering 26 were in fact of African descent. Now you may wonder why there would be a need to emphasize their racial composition. But it is quite an important detail, as back then, racial prejudice was much worse compared to today. Indeed, we can currently classify 56% of Los Angeles founding families as black individuals, but such recognition had not been celebrated publicly for generations. In the 1950s, El Pueblo de Los Angeles State Historic Park honored the city's founders with a plaque. The early settlers of African descent had Spanish surnames, and their ethnicity would not have been known had the plaque not indicated it. But soon enough, the plaque disappeared, with only rumors remaining that several recreation and parks commissioners were embarrassed that black people played a part in the city's founding. Another plaque replaced the original one more than 20 years later, but it didn't mention race in honoring the early settlers. It wasn't until Miriam Matthews, California's first credentialed black librarian, advocated for the pobladores that the city installed another plaque for its bicentennial in 1981. That plaque, a bronze tablet, includes the names of the 44 founders, their race, gender assignment, and age. Of the 11 men representing each of the founding families, Antonio Mesa, Luis Manuel Quintero, Manuel Camero, and José Cesario Moreno were of African descent, according to historical research. Without Miriam Matthews, the Dean of Los Angeles Black History, as many rightfully lauded her, these names might have remained lost in the annals of time. But thanks to her dedication, the forgotten melody of the pobladores could once again be heard, which is why we wish to acknowledge her as we present the untold black history within the booming city of Los Angeles. Truly remarkable tales such as these mustn't be forgotten. We must warn you, however, that this is not just a simple story of history, but also a story of a long fight for recognition and respect. Tread carefully, as some of these information can be heavy on the heart. That said, we humbly encourage you to give us a like to show your support and click subscribe so you'd be able to join us in our other insightful discussions. With this, let's proceed. Known for its glittering sunshine, star-studded industry, and simmering pot of cultures, Los Angeles is a glamorous city that pulsates with life and dreams. But truth be told, it wasn't always this way. It has certainly had many disturbing moments of black prejudice, ironically so. The ones that we will mention in this video might even enrage you. And similar to most thriving areas of civilization, Los Angeles too had a historical tale of war and quest for power and wealth. After the pobladores had fully settled in the new land, the pueblo grew slowly over the next decades as they focused on agriculture and cattle ranching. By 1820, its population had grown to approximately 650 residents, and it was by 1821 that Los Angeles became a part of Mexico, following the Mexican War of Independence. However, this reign came to an abrupt end following the American conquest of California, which was part of the larger Mexican-American War. The last Mexican governor of California, Pio Pico, was of mixed Spanish, Native American, and African ancestry. With this in mind, it's truly unfortunate that many white Southerners who soon came to California during its gold rush era in 1848 brought racist attitudes and ideals with them. This pervasive racism ended up hindering the growth of the black community in Los Angeles, with only a dozen black residents recorded in 1850. And while we can agree that this detail is already quite troublesome, the tales of the California gold rush were also similarly disturbing. This era of loot lust, sparked by the 1848 discovery of gold at Sutter's Mill, ended up triggering a massive influx of approximately 300,000 people from across the globe, a sudden population boom that stimulated the American economy and propelled California towards statehood. It was during this era that Los Angeles had also started to thrive. However, it also had devastating consequences for native Californians, leading to a significant decline in their population due to poor living conditions and systematic violence. Bless their souls. Economy-wise, the California gold rush seemed like a good thing, but its real consequences were quite unsettling, for it attracted many hearts who would do ungodly things for fortune. This would later impact the lives of many more, especially our black brothers and sisters at the time. Fortunately, many still did not stray in faith, as during 1872, the First African Methodist Episcopal Church of Los Angeles was established under the sponsorship of Biddy Mason, an African-American nurse and a California real estate entrepreneur and philanthropist, and her son-in-law Charles Owens. Currently, the church now has a membership of more than 19,000 individuals. In 1880, with the construction of the Santa Fe Railroad and a subsequent surge in settlement, the number of black residents in Los Angeles increased, and by 1900, 2,131 African Americans lived in Los Angeles, making it the second largest black population in California at the time. This population would come to grow massively as the years go by. The promise of a brighter future in Los Angeles attracted a wave of African Americans in the 20th century, joining other diverse groups who flocked to the city after the Southern Pacific Railroad connected it to the rest of the United States. In 1910, the one-story wood-frame 51st Street School became the first all-black school built in Los Angeles. It hired white teachers because discriminatory hiring kept black teachers out of many cities in the state, including Los Angeles. The year after it was built, Bessie Brewington Burke became the school's first black teacher and 8 years later, the school's first black principal. By 1920, the black population in Los Angeles had grown significantly, drawn by the allure of opportunity. However, their dreams of a better life clashed with the harsh reality of escalating racial hostility. Citywide policies systematically eroded black rights, while the Ku Klux Klan and police brutality terrorized their communities, causing immense suffering and disillusionment. Black communities were systematically marginalized by local authorities, resulting in dilapidated infrastructure, substandard transportation, inadequate schools and parks, and restricted access to economic and educational resources. Truly, it is quite disheartening to hear about such oppressions experienced by African Americans in a city whose initial settlers were of African descent. And regrettably, pain has a tendency to stack over time, especially if it is not addressed or resolved. All of this oppression soon transformed into a heavy grudge, with great consequences. Just observe these following developments that we are about to reveal, and in the end, you will see how deep this has truly become. During the Great Depression, Los Angeles experienced a rapid growth in its black population, particularly in what is now referred to as historic South Central. Faced with economic hardships and pervasive racial discrimination in the southern states, many black individuals and families proceeded to seek better opportunities elsewhere. By the 1930s, the approximately 40,000 black residents were primarily concentrated in two neighborhoods, known today as South Park and Watts. Despite the black population reaching nearly 65,000, equivalent to about 4.27% of the total population in 1940, restrictive covenants hindered their ability to move into new areas. Still, the expansion of Los Angeles's black community accelerated during the war years, fueled by significant migration from the American South and Midwest, and drawn by the robust job opportunities in war-related industries. By 1950, the black population in Los Angeles was approaching 200,000, with the South Central to Watts corridor becoming predominantly black. And by 1960, the black population in Los Angeles had grown to nearly 350,000, as black families moved into areas previously dominated by white residents. However, despite the increasing black population, racial tensions in Southern California continued to escalate, as evidenced by the Watts Rebellion of 1965. Now, this story is far from simple. The Watts Rebellion started after a Los Angeles police officer pulled over a young man named Marquette Fry. It began as a traffic stop for suspicion of driving under the influence, but the situation escalated quite too quickly. I remember that they took him and threw him in the car like a bag of laundry and kicked his feet in and slammed the door, an eyewitness told the Los Angeles Times. As it escalated, onlookers grew increasingly apprehensive as the police became more aggressive. This led to the arrest and attack of not only Marquette Fry, but also several members of the Fry family who attempted to intervene and assist him. Witnessing this harshness, a growing crowd of onlookers became increasingly agitated, sparking 6 days of unrest that resulted in 34 deaths, over 1,000 injuries, 4,000 arrests, and $40 million in property damage. The devastating aftermath saw plummeting real estate values and numerous businesses destroyed, leaving a deep scar on the community. Despite the progress achieved during the civil rights era in 1954 to 1968, the legacy of systemic racism and discrimination continued to affect black communities in Los Angeles. As the black population expanded into predominantly white neighborhoods across much of southwestern Los Angeles, new barriers and restrictions were quickly set up. This made segregation worse as the black community continued to grow. By 1970, Los Angeles' black population had reached almost 500,000 people. The ramping up of restrictions to black residency peaked around 1968 when civil rights legislation finally started working to eliminate these barriers. As a result, this era was the low point for integration and the high point of black ghettoization in Los Angeles. Around 1980, Los Angeles' black population reached its high point at just over 500,000. Thanks to civil rights legislation and litigation, black Angelenos were finally allowed to move to all parts of the city where they could afford to buy or rent. Segregation decreased slightly, and very few neighborhoods remained without black families. And as a side note, like we mentioned earlier, it was then in 1981 that Miriam Matthews encouraged widespread acknowledgement of Los Angeles's African roots. By 1990, only a few areas were without black residents in Los Angeles. At this time, Crenshaw District had become the new heart of black Los Angeles. Now, with what we just enumerated, did you notice the problem? The reality is, the pervasive systemic racism and discrimination faced by black communities in Los Angeles persisted despite the continuous growth of black individuals populating the city's areas. If you had experienced the exact same thing that they experienced, what would you do? Would you still sit quietly? All of these inevitably led to the Los Angeles uprising, as this is what happens when individuals are made to feel like society mistreats them and undermines their opportunities for a better life. At that point, the city's minority communities harbored a deep-rooted mistrust of the predominantly white police force. These fears were tragically realized in 1991 when a bystander's video captured the brutal beating of Rodney King, an African-American motorist, by Los Angeles police officers. The grainy footage, broadcast across the nation, sparked outrage and protests. A year later, emotions were still raw as the officers stood trial in Simi Valley. The jury's acquittal on almost all charges ignited a powder keg of frustration and anger. Protesters filled the streets, their cries of "No justice, no peace" echoing through the city. The unrest escalated rapidly, morphing into a maelstrom of violence, looting, and arson. The epicenter was South Central Los Angeles, but the chaos spread like wildfire, engulfing neighborhoods from the San Fernando Valley to Long Beach. Television screens flickered with horrifying images. Reginald Denny, a white truck driver, attacked at the intersection of Florence and Normandy. Firefighters battling blazes under sniper fire. The city was paralyzed by fear and fury. Mayor Tom Bradley declared a state of emergency, and National Guard troops were deployed to quell the unrest. President George Bush sent in federal troops and declared Los Angeles a disaster area. Rodney King himself pleaded for peace, his poignant question, "Can we get along?" echoing the desperate yearning for reconciliation. But the damage was done. More than 50 lives were lost, thousands injured, and the city lay in ruins. Why can't we get along? Even after so many years of oppression and countless attempts to address the issue, these problems remain, as there are those who do not seek for a change of heart. There are those who refuse to change their perspectives and embrace empathy. Fast forward to the 2000s, these issues are still very much alive. If we look at the bigger picture, despite overall improvements in socio-economic outcomes for Black Californians since 2000, significant racial inequality persists, especially compared to white Californians. The latest report by UCLA's Black Policy Project reveals a widening gap in several areas, including home ownership, income, and educational attainment. This disparity is particularly pronounced in major metropolitan areas like Los Angeles, Oakland, Sacramento, San Francisco, and San Jose, largely due to factors like gentrification and rising housing costs. It has gotten so terrible that closing the racial gap between Black and white Californians would take over 248 years, as said by Michael Stoll, faculty director of the Black Policy Project, in the 2024 State of Black California report. Since the previous report back in 2000, California's black population has experienced its first decline in decades, shrinking from 2.2 million to 2.1 million, and dropping from 6.6% to 5.6% of the state's total population. It's ridiculous in its truest sense that the decline in black home ownership between 2000 and 2020 in this area was nearly 6%, while other ethnic groups did not experience the same decrease over the same period. Zooming back in to present Los Angeles, the City of Angels shines bright, but shadows still linger over the black community. Finding homes, good jobs, and schools that nurture dreams are still a struggle. And even those sworn to protect can cause fear instead of safety. A 2023 annual country report shows that black residents in Los Angeles were the target of 46% of hate crimes, despite making up only 9% of the population. When will this change? And is it too late for change? Like a flower pushing through concrete, hope persists in the hearts of many black individuals longing for a better life. From the fight for civil rights to the ongoing Black Lives Matter movement, the black community has had a long tradition of overcoming adversity and fighting for change. Let their stories inspire us all to work towards a future where Los Angeles is truly a city of opportunity for everyone. Thank you for watching this video about the brief history of the black community in Los Angeles, including their struggles. If you found this content valuable and want to stay informed, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. If you have any thoughts, experiences, or extra knowledge you wish to share, please leave a comment below.
Keep listening to Black Focus Radio for more dynamic Black facts, our culture, our history, our people on joynetradio.com.
Hope you enjoyed that Black fact. Something to think about. Y'all might need to start doing a little history. By the way, thanks to Black Journals. If you go out to YouTube, that's a great place to go and get some fantastic Black facts. Those are the Black facts that I play every week. So every day when we do a show. So I want to give them credit for what they've been allowing me to do. I'm hoping to develop a relationship further with them as time goes on. Okay? So when we come back, I'll tell you a little bit about my latest Father's Day gift. I want to thank everybody for reaching out and doing things for me. But anyway, gotta take a quick break. Back in a moment. You're listening to Black Focus Radio. Our issues, our solutions, our voices on joynetradio.com.
Hi, I'm David W. Coleman, host of Black Focus Radio and the weekly sports magazine. We here at joynetradio.com would like to thank you for all the love and support you've given us. Our goal is to keep you inspired and informed daily with quality programming from gospel music, news, talk, and sports. Log on to joynetradio.com for the program lineup, and while there, be sure to make a donation. Then download our app and carry us anywhere in the world. Please continue to spread the word word about joinnetradio.com. And if you are an entrepreneur or have an upcoming event or you'd like to start a show, let the professional writers and producers here at joinnetradio.com help you get the word out. Call me at 615-554-0568 for more details. In the meantime, stay informed and inspired daily right here on joinnetradio.com. David W. Coleman here for Coleman's Dynamic Rib Rub and Rib Nuts. Go to ribrub.com, that's RIBBRUBB.com right now, and stock up on the best dry marinades for baking, grilling, and smoking your favorite meats. 3 great flavors, hot and spicy, original, and scorching. Try them at your next cookout and you will shout, bake it, grill it, shake it, oh yeah! Only one place to get Coleman's Dynamic products, that's ribrub.com. Easy to order, and I'll ship direct to you or to friends and family anywhere in the United States. While on the site, be sure to check out other great items, especially the rib nuts. Who'd have thunk it? Peanuts sauteed in a barbecue marinade? That's just crazy good. Get them at ribrub.com right now, along with other great recipes. That's ribrub.com. If you don't like my rib rub or rib nuts, I'll give you money back. Do it today. That's Coleman's Dynamic Products at ribrub.com.
Listen.
Did you miss Dr. Ernest Gill from UT San Antonio?
When you're making $455 million off these student athletes and all you can come up with is $5,000, John Calipari makes $8 million a year, and his players are going to get $5,000 a year. The majority of these teams were white men and white males and females. Would this be happening? And I would say no, because their families wouldn't let it happen. But we're letting our kids get pimped.
Join the weekly sports magazine every Saturday, 8 to 10 a.m. on joinnetradio.com.
Welcome back to Black Focus Radio. Our issues, our solutions are for us. This is 855-525-5683 is the number. That's how you get in touch with us if you'd like to join the show. A lot of things to talk about, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. We got so much on the agenda. I said the debate, this thing with Roe v. Wade. We've got Trump, Biden, and the democracy with we'll get into all that here in just a moment, and how Jim Crow is rearing its head in the Roe v. Wade argument. But I want to start off, and of course we got to definitely talk about the Ten Commandments, okay? But I want to start off today about reproductive rights. I've talked about this a lot on this show. And you would tend to believe that if you listen to my show on a regular basis, that I was for abortion. Of course, we're talking about this today because this is basically the anniversary of the strike downing of Roe v. Wade. Now, when I say striking it down, the Supreme Court, if you don't know, if for some reason you've been under a rock for the last 2 years, it's 2 years now, the Supreme Court basically turned it back to the states to let them make the decision whether or not a woman could have an abortion. Now, the majority of the states in America right now are run by Republicans, so they are on all accord, and you're seeing all kinds of laws that Republican legislatures are passing to limit or stop abortion. I've been asking the question, why are they doing this? Their argument is that they are pro-life. That means, I would assume, because obviously their stance is contradictory and it's two-faced. You can't be pro-life if you don't feed children who are starving here in America. You can't be pro-life if you're pro-death penalty. You can't be pro-life if you are pro-gun violence. Because by you and the way you support the Second Amendment says you are pro-gun violence. By the way, just this past week, there was a shooting in Fordyce, Arkansas. Didn't make national news. 2 people dead from what I understand. I think 10 people were injured. Fordyce, Arkansas is about, 30 miles southeast of Little Rock? It may not even be that far. So you can't be pro-life if you are pro-death and all of those things and many other things that I named. You just can't. You can try. You can blow smoke on my butt and tell me it's a campfire. Probably wouldn't believe you. So, what's the point here? I think the point is clear that there is an agenda that has been passed by the Republican Party that slipped up on everybody, including the Democrats. And they've been in play. This has been in play for decades. Now, the question that I've been asking people is why? Why are these people so anti-abortion? They don't even want women to have an abortion who have had a miscarriage, who is carrying a dead fetus in her womb that could cause an infection that would kill her. They're saying no abortion anytime. By the way, did you know there are places in Japan that are paying people like $50,000, men, to go over and impregnate women because there's a shortage of Japanese men? Passport bros, where you at? Just remember, you're going to have a little Japanese baby. All right? But here's the point. I find it fascinating that nobody has asked the simple question. Why are they doing this? Why are they so anti-abortion? Is it really because of the Bible, Jesus? No, because we're going to talk about the 10 Commandments later on in the show, and these people don't give a damn about Jesus. Okay? Their bigotry and racism is shrouded in the Bible. Why is it? I've said it over and over again. If they could allow only black women to get abortions or minorities to get an abortion and mandate that white women could get an abortion, they do that. But see, they can't do that. So the only other way to stop white women from getting abortions is to stop all women from getting abortions. You follow me? Yet. You see, what's going on right now here in America is fear. This is in part why Donald Trump has been so successful. It's fear that's going on. And the fear is that they are becoming minorities. They're already a minority around the world. 3/4 of people of color are in the world. They're 1/4. That's why you're beginning to see a lot of these quote unquote Slavic and European nations become more, I guess they conservative. They're trying to consolidate power. This is in part the whole thing with Israel. Those people in Israel are not black. They were not the original Jews. They are Ashkenaz. And they look white. Let me ask you a question. Do you think America will be supporting Israel if those people over there looked black? But that's another story. I digress. Don't get me started on that. Y'all will get mad at me. I'm sorry. The ADL and all those people will get mad at me. Here's the point. Part of the reason that they are so anti-abortion is the fact of 2042. And no one is really asking that question for whatever reasons. No one really is. They're trying to stop themselves from becoming minorities in America. And the only way to do that is for white women to have babies. And unfortunately, they're upset because there are a lot of white women who are having black babies. And there are a lot of white men who are screwing black women and having what? Black babies. So white males are in a tizzy. They're scared to death because for the first time, and part of this fear, there are white women too, part of this fear is that they believe that once they lose power, what they did to black people will be done to them. So here's the interesting thing about that. If you have that fear, doesn't that tell you just how bad you've treated black people in the history of America? And I've said this over and over again. I've had years ago when I worked at Dell, we had this right-wing bigot that was on our team, and we'd have conversations about race and 2042. And when he was first alerted to what was going to happen in 2042, he didn't believe me until I showed him data that it was going to happen. And I asked him the question. I said, doesn't it make sense that your people are going to be minorities by 2042, and as this country continues to evolve, they will become an even greater minority? Doesn't it make sense that you strengthen the civil rights laws now so that when your white grandchildren and great-grandchildren become of age, that they will be treated fairly? Here's the sickness of bigotry and racism. You know what he said in a nutshell? No. He gave me this all around by Sally's house explanation of why he's saying no. I already knew he was going to say no, and his reason was because he don't want to see black folks being treated fairly today because he's a bigot. He was a racist. So they are afraid. I've talked a lot about Dr. Frances Cress Welsing and her being on Donahue decades ago, talking to a white supremacist who Donahue clearly, and what this was in the mid 80s where we saw Dr. Welsing on Donahue. If you all don't know what Donahue is, Donahue was one of the early daytime talk shows who dealt with a lot of issues, controversial issues. And one, I mean, he had people like Louis Farrakhan on and things of that nature. Khalid Muhammad. You need to go out and check out some of those videos on YouTube. It's, Donahue was really a great interviewer. He could really pull stuff out of you. But anyway, Dr. Frances Cress Welsing was on that show with some KKK members. And Dr. Welsing told them about 2042, that it was on the verge of happening. It will happen. And Donahue questioned the KKK member and asked, did you hear what she's going to say? What do you think? And one of the things that he said was, hey, we'll blow this place up before we let that happen. Were you here for January 6th? You see, they trying to change all the laws now. They trying to keep black folks and minorities from voting. They stormed the Capitol because it didn't go the way they wanted it to go. I know what you're asking. Well, Dave, what does all this have to do with Roe v. Wade? It has a lot to do with it because I hadn't even gotten to my point. But I'm giving you a little background on how these people think. Okay? But as we head into this, and I keep, this this anniversary, I keep thinking, and I keep hearing people saying, you know, reproductive rights. I don't know about you, but for me, that means something different. Because can I argue for a right that I don't have, although I'm responsible, 50% responsible for that right of the other person? Does that make sense? Man, let me try to explain it to you. Can I argue for a right that I don't have, even though the reason that right is available is because, in part, me? I know what you're saying. Well, Dave, what are you talking about? Well, I'm talking about reproductive rights. In order for a woman to have reproductive rights, she has to have me. I'm in part the reason you can have reproductive rights, although I don't have them. Think about that for a moment. We'll take a break. You're listening to Black Focus Radio. Our issues, our solutions, our voices on JoyNetRadio.com.
Hi, I'm David W. Coleman, host of Black Focus Radio and the weekly sports magazine. We here at JoyNetRadio.com would like to thank you for all the love and support you've given us. Our goal is to keep you inspired and informed daily with quality programming from gospel music, news, talk, and sports. Log on to JoyNetRadio.com for the program lineup, and while there, be sure to make a donation. Then download our app and carry us anywhere in the world. Please continue to spread the word about JoyNetRadio.com. And if you are an entrepreneur or have an upcoming event or you'd like to start a show, let the professional writers and producers here at JoyNetRadio.com help you get the word out. Call me at 615-554-0568 for more details. In the meantime, stay informed and inspired daily right here on JoyNetRadio.com. David W. Coleman here for Coleman's Dynamic Rib Rub and Rib Nuts. Go to ribrub.com, that's RIBBRUBB.com right now, and stock up on the best dry marinades for baking, grilling, and smoking your favorite meats. 3 great flavors, hot and spicy, original, and scorching. Try them at your next cookout and you will shout, bake it, grill it, shake it, oh yeah! Only one place to get Coleman's Dynamic products, that's ribrub.com. Easy to order, and I'll ship direct to you or to friends and family anywhere in the United States. While on the site, be sure to check out other great items, especially the rib nuts. Who'd have thunk it? Peanuts sauteed in a barbecue marinade? That's just crazy good. Get them at ribrub.com right now, along with other great recipes. That's ribrub.com. If you don't like my rib rub or rib nuts, I'll give you money back. Do it today. That's Coleman's Dynamic Products at ribrub.com.
Listen.
Did you miss Dr. Ernest Gill from UT San Antonio?
When you're making $455 million off these student athletes, and all you can come up with is $5,000, John Calipari makes $8 million a year, and his players are going to get $5,000 a year. The majority of these teams were white men and white males and females. Would this be happening? And I would say no, because their families wouldn't let it happen. But we're letting our kids get pimped.
Join the weekly sports magazine every Saturday, 8 to 10 a.m. on JoyNetRadio.com.
Welcome back to Black Focus Radio. Our issues, our solutions, our voices. 855-525-5683 is the number. That's how you get in touch with us. If you'd like to join the show, we got a few minutes to go before we get to the top of the hour. I asked the question before we went to the break, how can I be for reproductive rights when I don't have reproductive rights, although I'm responsible for another party to have reproductive rights. I know that sounds crazy. As I thought about it in the break, it sounds crazy. Think about it. That other person is a female that I may have impregnated. She doesn't have any reproductive rights until she becomes pregnant. And the reason she is afforded those rights is because of me. Because without me being male, she cannot exercise her reproductive rights. So I'm partly responsible for those rights. Yet I have no say-so in those very rights. That makes no sense to me. It just doesn't. I know what you're saying. Well, it's her body. Well, now you're being discriminatory. Because again, she can't use her body to reproduce without me, male. And then you say, well, she has to go through 9 months. So now you're discriminating against me because of my gender. Hello? You're saying that I don't have rights because I don't carry the baby. There are a lot of rights that women have that were afforded to men because women could not do those things. Like being a doctor, like being a pilot, like being a firefighter or a police officer. We couldn't discriminate against them because they were women and they were not physically capable. I always use the analogy. You're in a fire, you're 250 pounds. You're not able to walk. Would you rather for a male firefighter to come in to help drag you out of that burning building or a female? We know the answer to that, don't we? No offense. If she's all I got, then we're going to have to struggle. I'm going to die, probably. But the odds of that 6 foot, 200 pound bench press male coming in and pulling me out as opposed to that 5'4", 150 pound woman, the odds of me surviving is for the previous and not the latter. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to discriminate. I'm just being real. So my point is that women are afforded everything as it relates to their physiology, yet men are not. And when it comes to reproductive rights, why should I care about Roe v. Wade when I don't have a say anyway? I would argue right now from my perspective, and I would argue for my organization, I Love My Children Too, is that we are anti-abortion. And the reason we are anti-abortion, I as the president of I Love My Children Too, and my personal statement is because I have no rights as a father. Because I'm a male. And that's the one argument that nobody is talking about. Nobody is talking about this. Because I've said this, if you're so pro-family, anti-abortion, the Republicans could have solved this very easily, is to make the argument that I just made, is that you're discriminating against men. At least put it in a statute that before you can have an abortion, you have to go through a father. And a lot of times, and I know the argument is going to be, well, it's my body, I can do what I want to do. But wait a minute, I've said this over and over again. The point that you lay down and have consensual sex with another individual, male and female, What comes out of that is both of y'all. So your argument that it's your body technically goes out the window. Now, of course, the issues of rape, incest, of course, threats to the mother. Yeah, you have to give in to that. But at some point, the father should have a say-so. She should not simply be able to go out and have an abortion without that father having his consent. She should not be able to go out and simply give away a baby for adoption. We've seen these stories over and over again, giving up babies for adoption without the father's consent. Going forward, I Love My Children Too will say that every birth should come with a DNA test. If they're not expensive anymore, they should be mandatory. Or no father's name goes on that birth certificate. That's the way it should be. There are too many men out here who are faking fatherhood, who are taking care of children who aren't theirs unbeknownst to them. Since it's your body, then don't I have a right to know whether or not I've got to serve your body in the form of a child that you say is mine? I think so. I think so. So I look at this Roe v. Wade a little bit different. One other thing before we take the break. Am I going to have time to do this? I think, tell you what, we're not going to have time to do it. When we come back in the next segment, we'll follow up with this Roe v. Wade thing, and then we'll move on to something else. We certainly got to talk about the Ten Commandments in Louisiana. Okay, we'll get into all of that here in just a moment. We're at the top of the hour. You're listening to Black Focus Radio, our issues, our solutions, our voices on joynetradio.com.
Hi, I'm David W. Coleman, host of Black Focus Radio and the weekly sports magazine. We here at joynetradio.com would like to thank you for all the love and support you've given us. Our goal is to keep you inspired and informed daily with quality programming from gospel music, news, talk, and sports. Log on to joynetradio.com for the program lineup, and while there, be sure to make a donation. Then download our app and carry us anywhere in the world. Please continue to spread the word about joynetradio.com. And if you are an entrepreneur or have an upcoming event or you'd like to start a show, let the professional writers and producers here at joynetradio.com help you get the word out. Call me at 615-554-0568 for more details. In the meantime, stay informed and inspired daily right here on joynetradio.com. David W. Coleman here for Coleman's Dynamic Rib Rub and Rib Nuts. Go to ribrub.com, that's RIBBRUBB.com right now, and stock up on the best dry marinades for baking, grilling, and smoking your favorite meats. 3 great flavors, hot and spicy, original, and scorching. Try them at your next cookout and you will shout, bake it, grill it, shake it, oh yeah! Only one place to get Coleman's Dynamic products, that's ribrub.com. Easy to order, and I'll ship direct to you or to friends and family anywhere in the United States. While on the site, be sure to check out other great items, especially the rib nuts. Who'd have thunk it? Peanuts sauteed in a barbecue marinade? That's just crazy good. Get them at ribrub.com right now, along with other great recipes. That's ribrub.com. If you don't like my rib rub or rib nuts, I'll give you money back. Do it today. That's Coleman's Dynamic Products at ribrub.com.
Listen.
Did you miss Dr. Ernest Gill from UT San Antonio?
When you're making $455 million off these student athletes, and all you can come up with is $5,000, John Calipari makes $8 million a year, and his players are going to get $5,000 a year. The majority of these teams were white men and white males and females. Would this be happening? And I would say no, because their families wouldn't let it happen. But we're letting our kids get pimped.
Join the weekly sports magazine every Saturday, 8 to 10 a.m. on joynetradio.com.
Bake it, grill it, smoke it. Oh yeah, at ribrub.com. Coleman's Dynamic Pepper Juice is lighting fires around the country. It's the new product from ribrub.com. Use it on meats and vegetables. Add it to your gumbos and greens for an extra punch. Made with all natural ingredients, Coleman's Dynamic Pepper Juice will enhance the flavors of your favorite recipes. Order today on ribrub.com. And while there, be sure to check out some of our other great products. It's developed with love and care using the best all-natural ingredients with no GMOs or preservatives. From snacks to seasonings, Coleman's Dynamic Products has something for everyone. Bake it, grill it, smoke it. Oh yeah, at ribrub.com.
Hey, beautiful. You look gorgeous. Are you doing something different? There's a healthy glow about you.
Thanks. I'm just my natural self.
Come on. What's your secret?
Okay. Since I found skintentional.com, I've been getting a lot of those comments.
Skintentional.com?
Yes. Skintentional.com is handcrafted, luxurious natural baths and body care products. Crafted for those with a designer's taste for high-quality skincare products, but won't break your bank. From body butter to oils and soaps, Skintentional has something for everyone, including the man in your life. Get your man some beard balm and oils, and yes, they offer body butters and soap for him as well, without making him smell like flowers. Go to skintentional.com and check out their amazing products. They believe self-care should be an intentional and joyous experience for all. Skintentional.com.
Pigskin, check. Round ball, check. Hard ball, check. Hockey puck, check. Burning rubber, check. We got it all on the weekly sports page with David Coleman. What else do you need? Did I say food? Can't have sports without food. What kind of show is this again?
A sports show.
Oh, okay. Pass me those rib nuts.
Yeah, we do have it all and a whole lot more with me, Dynamic David Coleman, on the weekly sports magazine.
The views and opinions expressed today on Black Focus Radio are not the views and opinions of the station, its management, or its advertisers. Now, let's get ready to focus on our issues, our solutions, using our voices on Black Focus Radio.
Welcome to Black Focus, the show designed with our community in mind, where we focus on our issues, developing our solutions, using our voices. Central Arkansas, surrounding areas, and the nation. Get ready. Black Focus starts right now. Phone lines open at 855-525-5683. So here's your host, David W. Coleman.
All right, welcome back to the second hour of Black Focus Radio. Our issues, our solutions, our voices on joynetradio.com. Hope you enjoyed the first hour. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. We try to bring you the best stuff going on with our organization. And I hope you'll stick and stay and spread the word and tell people about Black Focus Radio as we continue to grow, and we can't grow without your support. So will you please give us support? I'm not even asking you to give us money. I'm just simply asking you to hit that little button that says share, or hit that little button that says subscribe. That's all I need you to do. Okay? Will you do that for me? I really appreciate it. So last hour we were talking a little bit about Roe v. Wade. This hour we're also going to talk about the Ten Commandments in Louisiana. But I want to follow up on my last point about Roe v. Wade. And here it is. How they got this law passed, or certainly having the Supreme Court justices, 6-3 conservative court, many of them we know now have been paid off by conservative business people. We know that now. Clarence Thomas and Judge Alito. We don't know who else. But the court right now in this country is at a farce. That's why we're going to make the argument here in a little bit about Biden, democracy, or Trump. So how do we get to this point? And when the states, the argument they've made at this point is they didn't basically overturn Roe v. Wade. They basically said it was a test case from Texas and Alabama that they were going to allow the states to make their own decisions on this topic, Roe v. Wade. The argument for the right-wingers and the rednecks and the Ku Klux Klanners and the segregationists and the racists was states' rights. You all remember that, right? Did I leave any of them out? If I did, y'all know who the rest of them are. Skinheads, the Proud Boys, the MAGA people, the Tea Parties. The whole argument was states' rights when it came to slavery. You know, they try to rewrite history and say the Civil War was not about slavery, it was about states' rights. Well, you know what? It was exactly about states' rights. And the main right that they wanted was to be able to enslave black people. That's clear in the South Carolina Declaration to secede from the Union. Something that Nikki Haley didn't know. Okay? So it was about states' rights. All through the Emancipation Proclamation, the Black Codes, Jim Crow, segregation, all you heard was states' rights, states' rights. So this overturning of Roe v. Wade, turning it back to the states, is nothing more than a segregationist plot that has been used by the Supreme Court to allow Roe to be basically ineffective. Did you know that? So maybe you don't care about abortion. You heard me state last hour my stance on abortion. I'm anti-abortion, but not for what you think. Go back and listen to the last hour. Maybe you may be anti-abortion. But here's my question to you, and we're going to move on to our next subject here in just a moment that's related to this. Here's my next question. That if they're willing to do this for Roe versus Roe v. Wade, and now they are arguing states' rights. Did you hear my little monologue a couple of minutes ago about how all of this was states' rights? And in other words, what's going to keep them from using the states' rights argument to block votes, to resegregate, to stop funding for local schools, and they're already doing that. They're already taking public money from public schools and giving to private schools in some places. Y'all better wake up. The more things change, the more they really are the same. And they got you confused talking about rap battles, diss battles, or whatever y'all calling that mess now. Who has the better back tattoo? Who's sleeping with so-and-so, so-and-so? They're feeding you a drug and you don't know you're even high. I think that's why the Matrix was so profound to me. Is that you all are afraid to be unplugged, because when you unplug, you then realize that the world that you live in is a lie. All right, let's move on. Another issue about states' rights. The Louisiana government last week basically passed a law that they will force schools, public schools, to hang the 10 Commandments in every classroom. In every classroom. That's the law. Let me remind you of something that happened in Arkansas a couple of years ago, a few years ago. Let me see if I can. 10 Commandments and Devil Worship on Arkansas State grounds. There was a satanic protest in Arkansas. Okay, and this happened what, 4 or 5 years ago? I was trying to find they wanted to post the 10 Commandments on the state capitol grounds in Arkansas. So this Satanist, he basically sued them and said, hey, I want to put my stuff up there. And the court ruled that, hey, if you go through with this thing, with this 10 Commandments, then you would have to allow this Satanist to put his stuff on the Capitol grounds. That stopped it for a while. I understand that there's some other legislation that is out there for them to do it again. Here's the point. I'm going to be totally honest with you. I wasn't twisted about the Satanist putting his symbology on the campus. If you can put the 10 Commandments on the campus, you can put Satan worshipers on the campus. What if you want to put? Well, let me just pull up some. What if you want to put other commandments on the campus, like, you know, the tenets of Judaism or things of that nature? Here you go. Posting the 10 Commandments in Louisiana public schools should open the doors for also posting the 5 pillars of Islam. Can I do that? Would you agree with that? The 5 precepts of Buddhism and the 7 tenets of Satanism. That's just the beginning. You see, the one thing about the immigrants who came over to this land and founded this land, I try not to call them founding fathers. The one thing about those men, as warped as they were, they put together a pretty good document for us to go by. Yes, it needed amendments. Yes, they owned slaves, but overall, it gave us the basis of what we now live under, which is the Constitution of the United States. And what we forget is that, in part, the reason that they came to or looked for a new land was to get rid of religious persecution and taxes. This is why they did this. They wanted to worship the way they saw fit, which is great. So when they wrote the Constitution, they wrote about separation of church and state, that basically that there will be no designated religion in America. Every man, woman, and child can worship based on their own principles, their own religious principles, and the state will not mandate which religion that might be. Great. It was a great concept. It's a great idea because you have all these different religions that are flourishing in America. You may not agree with them. Some of them are derivatives of Christianity. I always think about the snake Christians. Have y'all seen those videos? There have been numerous people who have been bitten by rattlesnakes Y'all don't know what I'm talking about? So there's this religious sect that they worship rattlesnakes. Okay? And they get them out the the cage, and hold them up and play with them and this, that, and the other. And I think they claim that you are pure if the snake doesn't bite you. That doesn't mean that little Johnny can go up there and do the same damn thing, because snake gonna bite his ass. Yeah, I know, I'm logical. But the point is that many people have died because of those snake worshipers. But you know what? You can't stop them from worshiping, because that's their religion. Okay? That's their religion. If you worship a rock, if your symbology is your savior is a rock, you designate a rock as your savior in America, that's your thing, baby. Do what you want to do. As I drive around Baltimore, and maybe in your city, you see these little buildings or these little corner churches. There's a lot of them here in the Baltimore area and the DC area. A lot of it probably has to do with the pricing and rent and stuff like that. But they're everywhere. You see them a lot in little country towns. Who's to say how many people need to be in your congregation to have? What if the state started mandating that you must have at least 100 people in your church in order to be designated a church? What if they did that? The state can't do that. It's separation of church and state. The government is not in the business of promulgating religion. They're just not. So here comes Louisiana. Here they come. Louisiana's like 47th in the nation as it relates to poverty, education, all of the negative statistics. Them and Arkansas are right there together. And it's amazing to me that all these poor ass states, Arkansas, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, are pushing these so-called Christian principles, and they ain't Christian. They say they're Christian in deed, in voice, but they're certainly not Christian in deed. I asked the question earlier. How can you be Christian if there are people who are hungry and you got millions of dollars? You got a Joel Osteen type congregation, and Joel Osteen is riding around in all kinds of fancy cars, living in a fancy house. I make no bones about it. I'm not Christian. I'm anti-religion. I'm pro-spirituality. Okay? But I grew up in a Christian home. I know the 10 Commandments. I know the story of Jesus. And the fact of the matter is that if you're telling me that you're supposed to be living a life like Jesus, then some of y'all going straight to hell in a handbasket with gasoline draws on. Yeah, y'all are. Okay? I'm just saying, what we're seeing is a bastardization of religion, particularly Christianity, and white people trying to push a white religious agenda. Let me ask you another question. Do you want racists praying with you? Let me ask you a question, brother and sister. If you knew that guy right there across from you hated your guts and wanted you dead, would you pray with him? Would you want him to pray for you? Would you pray for him? Some of y'all would, because y'all crazy. That's how they got y'all ass. I'm sorry. I might pray for him. I might pray for him to die. I'm sorry. That's just me. I told you. I'm sorry. I ain't. I'm not holy like y'all. I'm not. I'm flawed. I don't aspire to the higher being. Let me stop. What I'm saying is this, folks, is, they always say, well, if we had prayer in schools, go back to when you had prayer in schools. When did it start? Probably in the, early 1900s. When did it start? What was going on historically during that time period? So little black girls and little black boys couldn't go to school with white folks, but you had prayer in schools. Their mamas and their daddies couldn't work. Some of them were being hung. Some of their brothers or their sisters were being kidnapped and massacred, beaten to death. Or the little girls, were being kidnapped and raped. Hello? Hello? So you tell me, how does that work? They were praying in schools at the time. By the way, some of those same teachers who were leading prayer in school were also members of the KKK. Huh? What is it, Daughters of the American Revolution or whatever they are? They were members of the KKK. And they were, wait a minute, look, let me tell you something. And let me go back to that question I just asked you. If that guy would have hated you, would you want him to pray for you? Now, me, myself, because see, y'all Christians, at least y'all say y'all are, some of y'all. See, I don't want that racist praying for me. I just don't. I don't want that bigot praying for my children. I don't want him praying with my children. In fact, I don't want my school teaching my child religion, because I might be a snake worshiper and I think the snake is God. You might be a rock worshiper. You might be a Satanist. You might use sex as a means to represent, your faith, whatever vice or vile vice that you have, that you use as a tool for saying you are a Christian. I may not subscribe to that. My family may not subscribe to that. In fact, my family might be Muslim. My family might be Hindu. My family might be agnostic. I don't want you, my teacher, or my school proselytizing to my child. Period. And you know what? That would even include if we are the same faith. I'm not sending my child to school for religious purposes. I'm sending my child to school for reading, writing, and arithmetic. The 3 R's. And that's what I want him to have. I'm not sending him to school to talk about Moses and Jesus. Because number one, you're not going to tell the real story about Moses and Jesus. Because if you did, then you would tell them that they were black and they came from Africa. And the story of the Bible is in Africa. And the story of the people of Israel is, the children of Israel is not a land, it's a people. You would tell him the truth. So no, I don't want you talking about that with my child. I just don't. So stop. And for Louisiana to be posting the 10 Commandments, I hope they're sued, and I hope they're sued rigorously and vigorously, to the point where we can stop this silliness. At the end of the day, even though you might agree, you have to understand that you don't, wait a minute. Let's say you agree. And all of a sudden now, we've got a state religion, and now every Sunday, you gotta be at church at 10 o'clock. We're on a slippery slope here. Once you start giving up part of your rights, you're gonna end up giving up all of your rights. And that's where we have to be careful. So, separation of church and state is important. It is one of the foundational tenets of the United States Constitution. And we don't want a state pushing 10 commandments on children, nor do we want a federal religious designation. We don't need one. We'll take a break. You're listening to Black Focus Radio. Our issues, our solutions, our voices on joynetradio.com.
Bake it, grill it, smoke it. Oh yeah, at rearbub.com. Holman's Dynamic Pepper Juice is lighting fires around the country. It's the new product from rearbub.com. Use it on meats and vegetables. Add it to your gumbos and greens for an extra punch. Made with all natural ingredients, Coleman's Dynamic Pepper Juice will enhance the flavors of your favorite recipes. Order today on rearbub.com. And while there, be sure to check out some of our other great products. It's developed with love and care using the best all-natural ingredients with no GMOs or preservatives. From snacks to seasonings, Coleman's Dynamic Products has something for everyone. Bake it, grill it, smoke it. Oh yeah, at rearbub.com.
Hey, beautiful. You look gorgeous. Are you doing something different? There's a healthy glow about you.
Thanks. I'm just my natural self.
Come on. What's your secret?
Okay. Since I found skintentional.com, I've been getting a lot of those comments.
Skintentional.com?
Yes. Skintentional.com is handcrafted, luxurious natural baths and body care products. Crafted for those with a designer's taste for high-quality skincare products, but won't break your bank. From body butter to oils and soaps, Skintentional has something for everyone, including the man in your life. Get your man some beard balm and oils, and yes, they offer body butters and soap for him as well, without making him smell like flowers. Go to skintentional.com and check out their amazing products. They believe self-care should be an intentional and joyous experience for all. Skintentional.com.
Pigskin, check. Round ball, check. Hard ball, check. Hockey puck, check. Burning rubber, check. We got it all on the weekly sports page with David Coleman. What else do you need? Did I say food? Can't have sports without food. What kind of show is this again?
A sports show.
Oh, okay. Pass me those rib nuts.
Yeah, we do have it all, and a whole lot more with me, Dynamic David Coleman, on the weekly sports magazine.
Welcome back to Black Focus Radio, our issues, our solutions, our voices. Hope you'll go back and check out the last segment. You'll get my thoughts on the 10th Commandment and wrapping up this argument about Roe v. Wade, as well as the anniversary of that ruling is this week. As a matter of fact, we should expect the Supreme Court to pass some other rulings as well. They've kind of slow walked all this stuff about Donald Trump, especially the immunity issue. But we'll get into that here in just a moment. But I said earlier, I want to tell thank you again, Allie, for the great Father's Day gift. You warmed my heart. This is probably one of the better Father's Day. My son bought me tickets to go see the Ravens and the Raiders, who will be in town here in the DMV September 15th. And got some pretty nice tickets for that. So I'll be at that game as well. So I appreciate that as well. I mean, y'all, my daughter bought me a TV. But the last thing, if you can see, I got a new chair. I was told that you need a better chair for your broadcast. One that looks more professional. My bar stool was okay, but I kind of like this. It's soft. It's got a nice little lumbar spine pillow. It also has it kind of lets out so I can prop my legs up if I want to. It's nice, soft, and pillowy. And it's got a great warranty that if at any point something goes wrong with the chair within 3 years, I get a free chair. So thank you, Allie, for the nice Father's Day gift. Okay, so this hour, this segment, I want to ask you the question. Okay? The question is, Biden, democracy, or Trump? Again, the question is, Biden, democracy, or Trump? As you know, the debate is coming up here Thursday night. By the way, we'll be on the Joynet Radio Friday morning to talk about the debate. And look, I typically don't watch these debates, but I'm going to watch this one because Donald Trump is a fool. And I'm going to be honest with you. I expect foolishness from him, but you are also a fool that you follow him. Okay? That's another story. But he's going to act a fool. And the neat thing about this debate is that apparently the producers have kill switches on the microphones. Because, Donald Trump likes to filibuster. Donald Trump likes to interrupt. Donald Trump likes to call names while the other candidate is making his or her statements. So now you can kill their microphones. Here's the one thing I know is that you're still going to be able to audibilize some of the things that he says. Watch. And here's the other thing. He's going to be standing right beside Joe Biden. Are you telling me that Joe Biden is not going to be a bit disconcerted about him interrupting and saying off-brand things? Because that's what he's going to do. Because he has no substance. So the only thing that he can do, and it's going to depend. Here's the thing. What are you going to consider someone who wins the debate? Is it the person who can make the glib remarks, or is it the person who has a policy? Because we know if we're to believe Donald Trump is not even prepping for the debate. He's like saying, I don't give a damn. I'm going to win. I'm Donald Trump, da-da-da-da. Joe Biden is prepping. Can you over-prep? Are we so caught up in the reality type lifestyle that Donald Trump lives that we'll vote for him because he's funny? He has the best one-liners? Is that how we need to look at this? This debate is the earliest debate in presidential history here in June. The question is, should the Biden administration even honor Donald Trump with having a debate with him? The argument can be made that this guy is a 34 count convicted felon. Do you legitimize him even more by having the debate? That's the question. Do you? Some would argue you shouldn't have even had the debate. But then Donald Trump is such a master. He would use that and say, oh, Biden's weak. He was afraid to debate me. Let me read this to you. It's so simple. I don't know why people don't get it. A man with a pattern of cheating his customers, vendors, business partners is going to cheat you. What did Maya Angelou say? When someone shows you who they are, believe them. Donald Trump has shown us who he is. A man who's casually betrayed his wives again and again will casually betray you. A man who lies all the time is lying to you. A man who has spent his entire life screwing people over is going to do the exact same thing to you. That man is Donald Trump. The question is, Biden, Trump, or democracy? That's the question. Because if you listen to this show today, especially, the underlying theme has been democracy. That's the underlying theme. Even when it comes to parental rights or reproductive rights, the underlying thing is democracy, because that's what the fact that you can have rights, democracy affords you that opportunity. Yeah. See, when you really think about it, you begin to understand that democracy is the fabric that is laced in everything we do as Americans. It hasn't always been great. It hasn't always been the thing that we need. But at the end of the day, it is the basic building block of who we are as Americans. And at some point in your life, you've benefited from democracy. You know why? Because the fact that you're an American, you benefit from democracy. This has become more acute to me than ever before. Since I've been in the DMV, I've been making friends with a lot of people who are foreigners. Africans, Jamaicans, South Americans, Puerto Ricans, who are not citizens, who are here on visas. And you began to understand the importance of being an American. Everybody is wanting to come to America. Everybody, even some of the people that I've met, they've overstayed their visas. But they want to be an American because America affords them things that other countries don't. And you know what that one thing allows them to do? It's be free. You know what is the basic building block of that freedom? That is democracy. Scratching your head? Yeah. I appreciate the friends that I've made now from other parts of the world because they've helped me to appreciate more of being American. I can stick my chest out. And no matter what they say, everybody wants to come to America. Everybody. And the basic foundation of America is democracy. Now, the question that I asked you at the beginning of this segment was this: Biden, Trump, or democracy? That's what's on the ballot this November, regardless of who wins the debate, because debates are not something, who judges the debates? Okay? What's the point system? Regardless of what happens in the debate, I won't even say who wins the debate. Regardless of what happens in the debate, the underlying question is this: Biden, Trump, or democracy? Now we've got time here. We got a few minutes. And this is just off the top of my head. Let's take Joe Biden. He's a Democrat. And I think I can do this fairly because I'm not Democrat nor Republican. I'm an independent. I've voted for Republicans. I've voted for Democrats. I've voted for independents. I've wrote in candidates in some cases. So I'm far from having a political persuasion, and I wish more people were like that. They should be fighting for our votes. We shouldn't just give them a vote because I'm a Democrat or I'm a Republican. We should, especially black people, we should be voting in blocks. We should be having conventions like the African American People's Convention that we had in Memphis to elect Willie Harrington. There was nothing like that had ever been done, and nothing like that has ever been done that will be done since. So, the question is, Biden, Trump, or democracy? Here's Biden. Of course, we know he was advocating the crime bill. Black people are still upset about that, and rightfully so. He wasn't the only one. We know he was Vice President Obama's running mate. We know that Joe Biden is a good old guy. I think in Joe Biden's heart, he wants to do the best. He's like, 2 weeks ago, we realized that Joe Biden is like a lot of black families. If Trump wants to make the argument that he's like black folks because he's got 34 felony convictions, we certainly can make the argument for Joe Biden, because how many black parents had to deal with a child that was on drugs? Raise your hand if your brother or sister got hooked on crack or heroin or barbiturates, pills, or alcohol. Raise your hand. Oh, y'all, right? So Joe Biden's situation with his son is no different. We've had trauma in our lives by losing a family member. Joe Biden has that. He has sympathy and he has empathy by the life that he's had to live. Let's look at Trump. Trump has spent his life getting over on people. He followed in his father's footsteps. His daddy was a bigot. His son is a bigot. And so are Donald Trump's sons. They're bigots. Like father, like son, the rotten apple doesn't fall far from the tree. When them apples fell, they got bruised up badly. The Trump apples. He cheats, steals. He's a felon. He has judgments of sexual harassment and sexual assault. He lies to you constantly. He's transactional, which is the most dangerous thing that he can be as a president. What do I mean by transactional? What that means, if you scratch my back, I scratch your back. In other words, we just heard Trump ask the oil industry, a week or so ago, I need $1 billion. I'll let you drill on all the sacred lands, but you got to give me $1 billion. He didn't say, he'll say, donate to my campaign, but we know where that campaign money is going, right? It's going to defend him in court. And, of course, a lot of it is going in his pocket. He's transactional. Now, how does democracy come into the middle of the three of these two guys? Well, we had one who defends democracy, who has spent his life defending democracy, talking about democracy, and we've got another who has benefited from democracy, yet also wanted to destroy democracy by starting an insurrection on January the 6th, 2021. Now, if we have Biden and we have Trump, the pillar that should tie them together is democracy. One wants to destroy that pillar, and the other one wants to uphold that pillar. Now, let me ask you another question, because if the pillar is destroyed, how will that help you? If the pillar is maintained, how will that help you? That pillar being democracy. So in other words, Trump wants to destroy it, Biden wants to maintain it. Trump wants to destroy it for his own self-aggrandizement. Biden wants to maintain it to try at least to help other people, which we've seen he's doing. Although it may not have benefited you directly, it helps. I'll give you an example. Something that's based to all of us. You have health insurance, right? Maybe you have the affordable health care that was created under the Obama administration. Joe Biden, the vice president. One of the best pieces of legislation, because there are people who had never seen a doctor before because they couldn't afford the doctor until the Affordable Health Care Act came along. Even Republicans in Owsley, Kentucky, one of the poorest counties in the world, was able to get health care after the passing of that law. Donald Trump wants to destroy that law. Millions of people will be kicked off of health care, and millions more will die because they don't have health care. I talked to a young lady the other day who, and I think I told the story on the show, our last show, was at a place on my computer. This young lady was on the phone, little black girl, I should say a young black lady. Clearly she had on a work uniform and she had just gotten off work, and she was talking on the phone about her mama didn't teach her how to get all this insurance and stuff. She don't know what to do. She don't have any health insurance. She's trying to get some health insurance. She don't know. And I wasn't trying to listen to her, but I was clearly in earshot of her. And so I listened. I'm saying to myself, she was going on to whomever she was speaking with, this grown folk stuff, I'm not used to this. I don't know what to do. And I felt sorry for the young lady. So after she hung up, and I told her, I said, look, sister, I'm not trying to get in your business. I heard you needed some health care. I said, are you not familiar with the Affordable Care Act? She said, no. I said, how old are you? She said, I'm 20. I said, are you serious? You didn't know that you could get your own health care? No. I said, do you work? She said, yeah. She said, I said, do your job offer? She said, it offers it, but I don't work enough hours to qualify. I said, well, the affordable health care is based on your income. And she went on to tell me about why she no longer has insurance, and come to find out that her mom apparently is an alcoholic. And one night her mom, a few nights prior, came home and started beating up her sister. Her sister was 16 years old, and she, the 20-year-old, decided to step in and defend her sister. So in retaliation, the mother said, because you're taking the sister's side, I'm going to take you off my health insurance. Now, I'm pretty sure there's other psychological abuse that is going on in that family. But at that moment, I could help that young lady and tell her about the affordable health care. Gave her the website. I was right there on my computer. I pulled up the website. I gave it to her. I said, here, just go out here, answer the questions. They'll call you. They'll talk to you, da-da-da-da-da. If you need some help, you can call me. She didn't call me, but I hope she did what she was supposed to do. What's my point in telling you that story? I'm telling you that story because that particular health care, if Donald Trump has his way, it's going away. It's going away. They want to make sure that you are using your tax dollars to make sure that they have great health care. But you, John Q. Public, it don't matter that you don't work at these fancy establishments, these fancy corporate offices. Every American should be afforded health care. And if you can't afford it, it should be free. It should be free. But if Trump has his way, that goes away. Again, Trump, Biden, democracy. Democracy, Biden, Trump. Biden, democracy? I think the choice is clear. It's democracy. And when you make your decision, you need to make your decision on who's going to uphold democracy. It's not fair for everybody, but it's democracy. And we all live under the same place that every person in the world wants to come to and participate in is democracy. We cannot let a megalomaniac and his following destroy what so many people have died to uphold. We'll take a break. When we come back, it's what we must do. You're listening to Black Focus Radio, our issues, our solutions, our voices, on joynetradio.com. Hey, beautiful. You look gorgeous. Are you doing something different? There's a healthy glow about you.
Thanks. I'm just my natural self.
Come on. What's your secret?
Okay. Since I found SkinTentional.com, I've been getting a lot of those comments.
SkinTentional.com?
Yes. SkinTentional.com is handcrafted, luxurious natural baths and body care products. Crafted for those with a designer's taste for high-quality skincare products but won't break your bank. From body butter to oils and soaps, SkinTentional has something for everyone, including the man in your life. Get your man some beard balm and oils. And yes, they offer body butters and soap for him as well, without making him smell like flowers. Go to SkinTentional.com and check out their amazing products. They believe self-care should be an intentional and joyous experience for all. SkinTentional.com.
Business owner, can I talk to you for a moment? How many people have come up to you and said, hey, I didn't know you had a business? Yeah, that can happen when you don't advertise. I have a solution for you. Advertise on joynetradio.com and let the world know that you're in business. I know what you're thinking. Advertising is so expensive. I've got a great package for you that will cut your expense and increase your bottom line. It's only $125 for startup and new businesses. Call me, David W. Coleman, at 615-554-0568, and I'll put together a package specifically for your business. Now is the time to tell the world, hey, I'm in business. Come spend your money on quality goods in my store. Let us help you at joynetradio.com. Here's the number. Call me, 615-554-0568. We are here to assist you in building your brand.
Coleman's Dynamic Products would like to thank you for all the support you've given us over the years. Our growth could not have happened without your purchases and word of mouth to your friends and family. That says you believe and trust us to provide Coleman's Dynamic Products with no fillers and all natural ingredients. We began with our flagship product, Rib Rub, and now it has expanded into snacks, seasonings, salts, rib juice, and pepper juice. We could not have done it without you. I'm David W. Coleman, founder and president, and I want to personally thank you for the encouraging words and support. Coleman's Dynamic Products will continue to be the best dry marinades, seasonings, and sauces you've ever put in your mouth. That's ribrub.com, RIBBRUBB, and you know what we like to say, bake it, grill it, smoke it, oh yeah. Welcome back to Black Focus Radio, our issues, our solutions, our voices. Make sure you subscribe, like, and share, and support our sponsors, SkinTentional and ribrub.com. I want to thank everybody for supporting the show. I want to thank you for listening. Make sure you go back and listen to the other segments of the show. We talked about Roe v. Wade and why I am anti-abortion. We also talked about the big debate that's coming up. We've got three choices on the ballot: Biden, Trump, and democracy. Which will you choose? And if you choose democracy, by the way, there's only one candidate you can choose. Okay? We also talked about how they're using Jim Crow laws to attack Roe v. Wade. And this segment I want to talk about, and as I've said, it's what we must do. And if you would like to sponsor this segment, give me a call at 615-554-0568 or send me an email at blackfocusradio@gmail.com. This segment is called What We Must Do. And I talked a little bit about this Saturday on the Weekly Sports Magazine. By the way, you catch that show every Saturday morning, 8 to 10 a.m. I want to talk about this thing with LeBron and his son, Bronny James. I don't think I've ever seen hatred for an athlete the way I've seen against LeBron. Now, certainly I saw growing up following Cassius Clay, later Muhammad Ali. I saw the hatred from white people. I saw the bigotry and the racism that was that he was subjected to. I saw all of that. But Muhammad Ali was still loved by his people being black people. Okay? No matter where he went. I don't understand this hatred towards LeBron James. Here's a man who married his high school sweetheart. Here's a man that a lot of people didn't think he would ever make it. And I'm going to be honest, I was not a fan of LeBron James going pro at the time that he did. I was worried about his family structure. Clearly, LeBron James was a lot more than I ever imagined. And later on, I got on the horse with LeBron. Not because he was a great basketball player, but because of what he stood for as an individual, a man. That, look, I came from nowhere. I had an uncle that was a drug dealer. My mom was an alcoholic. I came from nowhere. I remember when his mom got up at this game and was chastising the player because he was rough on LeBron, and LeBron got in her face and said, "Mama, will you sit your ass down?" Y'all remember that? Y'all remember? It was on national TV. I know this guy who came from nowhere, and many people doubted him, and who decided that not only was I going to be successful, but I'm going to bring people along with me, a la his super agent now, Rich Paul, whom he met in an airport, whom he helped to educate. And then he turns around and he sends all the children in Akron to college. But that wasn't good enough. He then builds a school in Akron. Oh, but that wasn't good enough. Something that most people wouldn't even imagine. Every child that went to that school got a bicycle because LeBron said, and it touched home to me because for a long time, all through college, and when I came home from college, I rode around on a bike because I didn't have a car. A Vista Carrera 7. It was an English racing bike, Canadian racing bike. He bought all these kids a bike. If you graduate with a certain grade point average, you're going to college. That was LeBron James. He's done all of these entrepreneurial ventures and it's just been amazing. But there is so much hatred for LeBron James. I don't understand why. And here's the thing. It's coming from black people. I can understand if you don't like him as a player because your idol is Michael Jordan, who is the epitome of I ain't getting in black stuff. He is the epitome of Republicans buy shoes too. In other words, I ain't worried about your black business. I'm just trying to make money. I can understand if that's who you like, that's your superstar, fine. But when you judge him as a man and you come off looking like a damn fool, as many of you all have. So now, in comes Bronny, his son. Bronny is not as good as his dad. Bronny is only 6'1". He's not 6'8" like Daddy. But clearly Daddy is paving the way for Bronny. You know what? I ain't got a problem with that. It's called nepotism. We see it everywhere. We see when you watch TV and you see a law practice with a father and son there, or a father and daughter there. We see it in corporate America, in white corporate America. We see it all over this world, that if you have offspring, if you can make their lives better than yours, you will. Every one of you will do it. I'll do it. Even my son now is 31 years old. Every chance I get to give him advice to help make his life better than mine, I do. I tell him often in our conversations, I don't want you to go through what I went through. This is why I'm telling you this. I'm paving the way. And what LeBron James is doing for Bronny James, ain't nothing wrong with it. As a matter of fact, all of us ought to be aspiring to that level. Is it okay? I may not have done this. Now, LeBron is fortunate. He's got millions. He's going to be a billionaire before it's over with. Really, Bronny don't really have to play. But I imagine here's a young man who's trying to make his own. He don't want to live off daddy like the Trump boys are. Speaking of nepotism. Y'all ain't mad at Trump for what he did with his boys and his daughter. His son-in-law walked away with $2 billion. But y'all mad at LeBron because he's just trying to get his son drafted. But you're not mad at Jared Kushner and Ivanka and Beavis and Butthead Trump. But you're mad at LeBron? How many times does a black man have the opportunity to pave a way for his son or his daughter or his family? Not many times. So when I see a black man, a man who married his sweetheart, who laid the foundation of this entrepreneurial spirit and this philanthropist spirit of going back to the black community, instead of just going back during the holidays and giving out turkeys, and you think you did, and you filming it, thinking you did something for the black community, put your money where your mouth is. The money that you've earned as a black rapper, a black star, whatever you did, it was black people who first supported you. There's enough black millionaires now that there really shouldn't be black poverty. I'm just saying. So get off of LeBron. LeBron is doing the same damn thing that you would do for your child. And if you're sitting there saying you won't, you're a damn lie. If he can get Bronny drafted, fantastic. And what we must do as black people is quit criticizing black people who are trying to make a difference. And there's no ifs, ands, or buts that LeBron James is trying to make a difference. And he has. We got to get out of here. Hope you enjoyed the show. That's Black Focus Radio, the Tuesday edition. Stay tuned. We'll get you more shows coming up here in the very near future. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Support our sponsors, RimRub.com and Skintentional. And make sure, if you got something you want to say, you got a show guest, you got a show subject, hit me up at Black Focus Radio. Our issues, our solutions, our voices. Right here at JoynetRadio.com.
You've been listening to Black Focus, where we discuss our issues with our solutions and our voices. Join us every weekday afternoon at 1 p.m. on JoynetRadio.com.